Title: The Love Letter Beneath the Stars. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a young woman named Ilara. She was known throughout the village for her kindness and her love for the stars. Every night, she would sit by her window, gazing up at the twinkling lights in the sky, wondering what stories they held. Ilara's heart, however, was not just filled with love for the stars. She harbored a deep affection for a young man named Orion, a quiet and gentle soul who lived in a cottage at the edge of the village. Orion was a skilled carpenter, crafting the most beautiful furniture anyone had ever seen. He, too, admired Ilara from afar, but was too shy to express his feelings. One day, while walking through the village market, Ilara found herself at Orion's stall, admiring a finely crafted wooden box. "This is beautiful," she said softly, running her fingers over the smooth surface. Orion looked up, his heart racing. "I made it for someone special," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Ilara smiled, her heart fluttering. "She's very lucky," she said, not realizing that the box was meant for her. Orion blushed and nodded, watching as Ilara walked away, her soft curls bouncing with each step. He knew he had to do something to win her heart, but words failed him every time he tried. That evening, as the sun set and the stars began to emerge, Ilara sat by her window, lost in thought. She wished upon the first star she saw, hoping that one day Orion would notice her as more than just a friendly face in the village. Little did she know, Orion was also staring up at the sky from his own window, wishing for the courage to tell Ilara how he felt. As he gazed at the stars, an idea began to form in his mind. The next day, Orion set to work on a new project. He carefully carved a small wooden box, even more beautiful than the one Ilara had admired. Inside the box, he placed a piece of parchment on which he wrote a letter, a love letter that expressed everything he had been too afraid to say. Orion poured his heart into the letter, telling Ilara how her smile lit up his world, how her kindness touched everyone she met, and how he had fallen in love with her from the moment he first saw her beneath the starlit sky. He signed the letter simply, "Yours always, Orion." That night, under the cover of darkness, Orion made his way to Ilara's cottage. He quietly placed the wooden box on her doorstep, taking care not to make a sound. With one last glance at the box, he whispered a silent prayer that she would understand his feelings. And then, he disappeared into the night. The next morning, Ilara found the box on her doorstep. Her heart skipped a beat as she carefully opened it, revealing the letter inside. As she read Orion's words, tears filled her eyes, not of sadness, but of overwhelming joy. She had admired Orion for so long, never daring to hope that he felt the same way. With the letter clutched to her chest, Ilara knew what she had to do. That evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky, she walked to Orion's cottage. She found him sitting on the porch, his eyes turned upwards, lost in thought. "Orion," she called softly, her voice trembling with emotion. He looked up, startled to see her standing there. "Ilara, Before he could say anything more, Ilara held up the letter. "You don't need to say anything," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "Your words were more than enough." Orion stood, his heart pounding as Ilara stepped closer. "I never knew you felt this way," she continued, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "But I'm so glad you do, because I've loved you from the very first moment we met." In that moment, all of Orion's fears melted away. He took Ilara's hand in his, feeling the warmth of her touch. "I've loved you for as long as I can remember," he whispered. "I was just too afraid to tell you." Ilara smiled, her heart full to bursting. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. And under the blanket of stars that had witnessed their quiet admiration for each other, Orion and Ilara shared their first kiss, a kiss that spoke of all the unspoken words, of all the dreams and hopes they had both harbored in their hearts. From that night on, they were inseparable. The stars, which had always been Ilara's silent companions, now shone even brighter, reflecting the love that had blossomed between them. And every evening, as they sat together beneath the twinkling sky, they would remember the night when a simple wooden box and a heartfelt letter had brought them together, forever united under the stars. The end.